Welcome to Southwest Florida Real Estate Update, hosted by local realtors Jim, Michael, and Morgan York of the York Real Estate Group of Downing Fry Realty. Our show will bring you the most up-to-date information on the local real estate market, featuring the leading experts in the real estate field.
Hi, and welcome to the Southwest Florida Real Estate Update. I'm Michael York of the York Real Estate Group, and today we're joined by our host, Jim York, and his guest, Don Ross Jr., President of Ross Title and Escrow.
Thank you, Michael, for the introduction. Well, Don, thank you for coming on the show today.
You are entirely welcome.
So tell us a little bit about yourself for a few minutes here.
I'm an attorney in Naples. I've been practicing since 1981. I have a master's in taxation, but I focus on real estate law. I have my own title company, Ross Title. We have 8 employees right across from Pastrami Dan's. Janet, my manager, has been with me. I know it's over 30 years, but I've lost track, honestly, after that.
Was she born in the office?
Practically. I think we grew up in the same schoolyard, it seems, but her daughter works for me, her sister works for me, her niece works for me, so it's a very close family unit, which makes it very cohesive, so we don't miss so many things. I'm also an owner at Downing Fry, and I've been the attorney for that company for 25 years, which makes things a little different for me because I see things from the realtor's perspective, because I get asked questions from the realtors daily. I mean,
right.
Daily. We've got $1 billion in sales so far, and I get all the issues.
Right.
So it's an interesting experience.
Well, we've had good experience, our
Well, thank you.
clients, and love the closing agents that we deal with there, and you also communicate
It's a job
with us.
requirement that I actually like them. So
Yeah, it is. I
It
mean,
really is.
Return phone calls and
Yes,
everything.
yes.
So first question here we have is seller denying buyer access to the home.
Yeah, we have our 2 basic contracts, NABOR and FARBAR. Under NABOR, which is the one you and I deal with most
Mostly.
frequently, we have 15 days to do the inspections,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And then you get 1 walkthrough, 1. You do all your inspections, and then you have 5 days after that to ask the seller to remediate or give a credit for whatever they consider defective. The walkthrough, which is different than the FARBAR contract, allows the buyer prior to closing, and it doesn't say who picks what day and what time. Sometimes they argue about it, but it allows the buyer to walk through the place, or his or her representative. And I always recommend have your inspection company do the walkthrough.
Right.
I don't want you, Jim, doing the walkthrough or any other realtor doing the walkthrough, because I've had agents have to write checks when they did walkthroughs and miss things. So you personally don't. I mean, you're a builder, so you
Right.
have special qualifications, but the average realtor is not a builder. And for them to be looking at skylights and
Right.
whatnot is beyond the scope of what they're licensed for.
Right.
So you get the inspection company to do the walkthrough under NABOR. They walk through to see if everything that's being conveyed, all the tangible personal property and so forth, the refrigerators and whatnot, are there. The things that are not being conveyed have been removed. We've had garages filled with trash, or refrigerators filled with food, miscellaneous furniture in the yard that's kind of junky according to the buyer. It's still there, so that's supposed to be removed prior to closing. The third element is to make sure that any repairs that the seller agreed to make were in fact made correctly, which again is why you want whatever inspection company you use to go in and check. Let it be them. They're the ones who saw the problem in the first place. Let them look at that exact problem and see if it was rectified correctly. It's safer. Plus, it's a third-party witness if there's a problem later on. And the fourth thing, which was huge after Hurricane Irma, is did the seller maintain the property, ordinary wear and tear accepted, in the condition it was on the effective date of the contract, the date the last person signed it and delivered it to the other side. So those 4 things the buyer's allowed to do in their 1 walkthrough. Now, we always get buyers who ask, can my wife go in and measure for curtains,
Right.
For furniture? And I get calls on that, and I say, if everything else has been worked out and everybody's getting along fine, Sure, just make sure you have somebody there. Try to be nice. If you deny access, then they wonder what you're hiding, and it creates hostility, and you're not quite sure what additional issues might pop up prior to closing. And if something does pop up, and you've already irritated the buyer by denying them access to measure for curtains,
Right.
it's going to be so much more difficult to deal with that subsequent issue. So, you know, being nice to your fellow man is actually beneficial in a real estate
Right.
deal. Plus, it makes our stress levels so much easier to handle. So, I'm all for being kind and letting them in there as long as they don't abuse the process. I generally don't like them moving in early. You know, if they move the furniture into the garage, I might be able to live with that. But one access. FARBAR, which is a statewide contract, allows for more than one walkthrough if required. You know, it specifically talks about that in two different places in the FARBAR contract, you know, as you may have more than one.
Right.
So they're a tiny bit different. They've put into the contract what we usually work out in practice. I mean, 9 times out of 10, my sellers will let the buyer in to measure curtains. In the last year, you know, this year, I might have had 2 or 3 that said no. You might have people living there and they're tired of this. Buyers have come in 14,000 times.
They
and
want to
have
clean the
used
house,
it.
right,
We're
yeah.
having a Christmas party, it's the holidays.
Yeah.
You know, this is a bad time.
Yep.
You're beating it to death, it's too much. So, you know, the buyers can overdo it, but 9 times out of 10, the sellers will accommodate them.
Okay, well, Don, we're going to take a little short break
Sure,
before we
Jim.
go to the next question here,
Okay.
and we're going to hear a little bit about the York Real Estate Group of Downing Fry Realty. Thank you.
Thinking of buying or selling a home in Naples, Marco Island, Bonita, or Estero, Florida? Think of the most experienced York Real Estate Group, associated with the #1 brokerage in Southwest Florida, Downing Fry Realty, which produces yearly real estate transactions of over $1 billion. Jim, Michael, and Morgan make up the York Real Estate Group of Downing Fry Realty, with over $275 million in sales transactions, along with offering over 25 combined years' experience in the local market. The Yorks can offer the experience and trust you need in a realtor. Call them today at 239-273-6727 or visit their website at www.naplesyorkrealestate.com.
Looking for a real estate closing agent in Southwest Florida? Ross Title and Escrow has over 25 years experience and has closed over 20,000 residential real estate transactions. Donald Ross Jr., president of Ross Title and Escrow and a practicing attorney in the state of Florida with a degree in taxation, is here to service your needs. Call Mr. Ross or one of our 4 closing agents for a free consultation today.
Welcome back. Well, Don, our final question here out of the 2 that we had today, okay,
Yes.
is about fraud, and there's a lot of fraud going on. I'm sure people know that with getting telemarketers, all this stuff that's going on, you know, there's scams and everything, but there's a lot going on in the real estate industry too, right?
It's everywhere. It's every company in town, individual realtors, sellers, buyers, my parents, you name it, it's out there. The reason I brought this one up today is there's actually been a federal case decided that imposed $167,000 worth of liability on an individual realtor and the realtor's real estate firm for a negligent misrepresentation. There was evidence. This case was decided in the United States District Court of Kansas, June 25th, 2018. Bain, B-A-I-N, versus Platinum Realty, and the lady is Catherine Coleman. She's the other defendant. She's the realtor. There's so many variations, like James York, your email, they might change one letter of your email, and that creates one problem. In this particular case, there was evidence, and this was a jury trial, so it's up to the jury to decide what evidence to believe and what not to believe. But there was evidence that their phony wire instructions were sent to the buyer under the realtor's email. So there was evidence that somebody hacked into this lady's email account. She might have had a password like mom or her birthday, 0000. I know of one person in town who got hacked. It was welcome one. You know, so it was there was no thought put into it. There's no changing of passwords on a regular basis. I mean, we change ours regularly, and the passwords are like this long.
Right.
I mean, I have to have somebody do it for me because it's just too much. You know, it just drives me crazy. But this poor lady had her account hacked, and the fraudster will just watch the deal. They're like a voyeur sitting back and watching the emails from the selling agent to the listing agent and the seller and the buyer and the title company or the law firm, and at the opportune moment they impersonate the title company or the law firm and they give phony wire instructions and say you need to send your $196,000 here, which happened in this case. And in this case, you know, the realtor was trying to argue that she didn't send the wire instructions, but there was evidence that she did, and it was up to the jury to decide whether she did or she didn't. And they ruled that, yeah, she did, and she got an offset of 15% for the total damages, which was $196,000, reducing her judgment to $167,000 because the plaintiff had already recovered the other 15% from other defendants. There are other people that they went after as well.
Right.
I mean, when they sue, and generally when people sue,
Sue
you sue
everybody.
everybody and their brother.
Right.
I mean, it costs minimal money to add additional defendants.
Right.
So they always go after as many as possible. Sometimes they just tweak your password and they change one letter in your name. Other times, which is what apparently happened here, or ostensibly happened here, they actually hacked the person's account. So I had a lady from Weymouth, Massachusetts, which is where my parents grew up, that's why I remember it, who she was buying property, elderly lady, probably my mother's age. My wife tells me I shouldn't call somebody elderly, but she was my mom's age, who had her account hacked. And it was an account she's had all her life, and she never changed the password. And they got in through her account, and somebody impersonated, the closing company,
Right.
and the money was diverted to Virginia. Now we recovered the money,
Right.
but I had to have a long conversation with this lady and say, you need to change your password once in a while. In fact, I'd use a different email address from now on.
Right.
And, I ended up asking her, do you speak a foreign language? And she did. And I said, well, I studied classical Greek in school, so some of my passwords are actually in Greek with symbols and numbers and nonsense phrases, but I know what it is.
Right.
I transfer it from Greek to English and I go with that. But I said, you could pick a phrase. It could be, the sky is pink cotton candy in Greek.
Right, yeah.
And
That's a good
just
idea.
change it every
Right.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
It needs to be part of your life. So the lesson this was in the National Association of Realtors, and the lesson they were trying to tell the realtors, they didn't give them the whole case, is people should verify wire instructions. You should independently look up on the internet, like Ross Title, get a phone number, call.
Right.
What I do is I email wire instructions while I'm on the phone with somebody. I say, did you get it? And I
Right.
go over it with them on the phone. And then in all our letters and in all our communications, we tell them we are not changing our wire instructions. They don't change. If they change, call me. And
Right.
they all have my cell number. The biggie for realtors is you don't want anything to do with wire instructions. You don't ever, ever, ever want to send anybody wire instructions. Send them to the lawyer, send them to the title
That's
company.
right.
You don't want anything to do with it. In fact, Downing Fry doesn't even have an escrow account for sales because we don't want anything to do with it.
Right.
It's too scary. So call if you're a consumer. Call and verify, call and verify, call and verify. If you're a realtor, don't ever have anything to do with wire instructions. Not a thing.
Yeah, we learned that a while back because there's been a lot of even local attorneys that have been scammed, right, here in Southwest Florida.
I mean,
So-
it's a dirty little secret, but there's a lot of them out there.
Yep.
I mean, you know, my part of the process, the title company, we're encrypted emails, we change our passwords. I'm paranoid, but I can't control the seller's Gmail account, the buyer's Gmail account, the realtor's Gmail account. And I'm not picking on Gmail, but you know, whatever their account is. Do they change their passwords regularly? I mean, because this is all in the last, what, how many years? 3, 4
That's
years?
right, yep.
You know?
Yeah, they had a thing on TV. I want to cut the show off here a little bit, but they had a thing on TV the other night.
Right.
All the lights all over the world that people were trying to scam our places in the United States.
Well, they're blackmailing cities, they're blackmailing financial institutions.
Right.
I mean, they're going after power grids. I mean, it's not going to go away. As long as we have an internet, it's just going to get more clever.
Well, Don, thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week, okay? Thank you.